Hey guys, it's the DIY mechanic here, back with another DIY car fix. Today we're dealing with the EGR valve. We will go through this valve purpose, symptoms of a faulty valve, and the way to replace it with a new one. A short intro and we will start. So first of all, what is an EGR valve and how does it work? The EGR valve is a valve that routes some exhaust gas back into your engine combustion chamber. It helps control emission and improve fuel economy. By mixing exhaust gases with fresh air, the engine combustion temperature reduces as well as harmful exhaust gases. The downside of the EGR system is that it's just like you would eat what just came out of your body. So over time it builds soot over the valve and can clog your intake manifold, even just partially. So how do you know if your EGR valve is bad? Well, the most common symptom is a check engine light with a code suggesting that, but there are some more symptoms. First of all, engine stalling and idle. Second, increased emissions or failing emission test. In a diesel engine, it will start getting very smelly. Decreased fuel economy, and last but not least, rough or jerky acceleration. That's what I got here. At around 1500 RPM when the EGR valve is open, it's like the car is taking mini pauses while accelerating. Take a listen. So let's go ahead and replace the EGR valve. Alright, first of all, let's pop the hood and locate the EGR valve. It's usually bolted onto the manifold, near the exhaust. We need to remove that engine cover that attached to the rocker cover with 4 bolts. Alright, now I can see what's around the manifold and found that EGR assembly. I can also look at my new valve and found this old match valve near the manifold. The new valve came with a new gasket and new 4 bolts. For better access, I removed the air filter box. Disconnect any electrical connectors, breather and vacuum hoses. Be careful not to damage the hoses. The EGR assembly is water-cooled, so remove the coolant hoses. Now unscrew the mounting bolts. Be careful not to lose these nuts. Remove the old EGR assembly and gaskets. Be careful not to lose the gasket, we will reuse them. Empty any coolant residue from the EGR assembly into a container. Now we can better understand the path of the exhaust gases. They come from the exhaust, and after the EGR valve opens, they go through the turbocharger, back to the intake, and all the way to the combustion chamber. This EGR valve is controlled by an electrical solenoid. We remove the bolts that hold them together. Now you can see how much soot is built up on the valve and how badly it opens. Let's compare the old valve with the new one. And check out the inside as well. Using a wire brush, clean the surface of the solenoid. Don't use an aggressive one, we don't want to damage the surface. Clean any residue with a brake cleaner. Unscrew the 3 bolts that connects the EGR valve to the EGR assembly. Now we can check the EGR valve as well from this side. Look at all of that soot. Now we install the new EGR valve and gasket in reverse order. Starting with bolting the solenoid and valve together using the new gasket and bolts, and moving on to the valve and the EGR assembly. Make sure to align it the same way that it was. We don't want to find out we were wrong about the orientation only at the end of the job. Make sure everything is aligned and snug. While I was in there, I replaced this old coolant hose that I knew would leak very soon. It only cost me a few bucks, and it's better to replace those old hoses as a preventive maintenance. Now reinstall the EGR assembly onto the manifold, and don't forget any gaskets or nuts we removed before. Tight everything nice and snug. Connect the coolant hoses together. Don't forget the vacuum hose, the breather hose, and any electrical connectors. Install the filter box back again. Good. Now for the final part, because we lost coolant, we need to fill up the reservoir and bleed the system. And for that, we need to reach operating temperature. We need to open the filler cap and let all the air out by massaging the coolant hoses. But before we do that, let's fill up our coolant reservoir to the max. On diesel engines, like we have here, reaching operating temperature can be a long process on idle. So let's start the engine and warm it up so it will be easier to bleed the cooling system. I can already see that my acceleration has no legs like before. Before we end this video, as always, reach out in the comments if you have any questions. And if the video was helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more DIY and classic cars videos. Now the coolant is already warmed up and we can see all the air bubbles moving up towards the filler neck. The thermostat should open any second and then we will get all the air out. And there we have it! The thermostat opened all the way. We can see from the scanning app we reached to operating temperature and more bubbles bled out from the system. Now keep filling up your coolant level until there are no more bubbles in the system. My advice is to keep your eye on the coolant level for the next few days. Not just now, but anytime you're messing with your cooling system. Now you can try and fix your car yourself. See you next time!